Hello everyone, this is Claire, and today we're going to be continuing our story of The Little Prince, starting at chapter 4, which is where we left off last time, so let's give it a go. Right. Chapter 4. From this I learned a second fact of great importance. The planet he came from was scarcely bigger than a house. This was no great surprise to me. I knew very well that, besides the important planets, Earth, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, and so on, to which names have been given, there are also hundreds of others, some so small that one has trouble finding them even through the telescope. When an astronomer discovers one of these, he gives a number instead of a name. So he might call it, for instance, Asteroid 3251. I have good reason to believe that the planet from which the little prince came is the asteroid known as B-612. This asteroid has only been seen through the telescope by a Turkish astronomer in 1909. At this time, this astronomer made a grand presentation of his discovery before an international congress of astronomy. But since he was wearing Turkish national costume, nobody would believe him. Grown-ups are like that. Fortunately for the reputation of asteroid B-612, a Turkish dictator ordered his subjects, on pain of death, to convert to European dress. In 1920, our astronomer repeated his demonstration, wearing elegant evening dress. This time, everyone accepted his proofs. The reason I have told you so much about asteroid B-612 and let you know its number is because of grown-ups. Grown-ups love figures. When you describe a new friend to them, they never ask you about the important things. They never say, what's his voice like? What are his favourite games? Does he collect butterflies? Instead, they demand, how old is he? How many brothers has he? How much does he weigh? How much does his father earn? Only then do they feel they know him. If he says to the grown-ups, I've seen a lovely house made of pink brick, with geraniums in the windows and doves on the roof, they are unable to picture such a house. You must say, I saw a house that cost 100,000 francs. Then they cry out, oh, how pretty. Again you might say to them, the proof that the little prince existed is that he was enchanting, that he laughed, and that he was looking for a sheep. When someone wants a sheep, it is proof that they exist. The grown-ups will merely shrug their shoulders and treat you like a child, but if you tell them the planet he came from is asteroid B-612, then they will be convinced and will spare you all their questions. That is how they are. You must not hold it against them. Children have to be very indulgent towards grown-ups. Of course, for we who understand life, figures are quite unimportant. I would have liked to begin this story in the manner of a fairy tale. I would have liked to write, once upon a time there was a little prince who lived on a planet scarcely bigger than himself, and who was in need of a friend. To those who understand life, that would have a much greater air of truth. You see, I do not want my story to be taken lightly. I have suffered so much grief for setting down these memories. Already 6 years have passed since my friend went away, along with the sheep. If I try to describe him here, it is not so as to forget him. It is so as not to forget him. To forget a friend is sad. Not everyone has had a friend, and if I do forget him, I might become like those grown-ups who no longer care for anything except figures. It is for this reason, too, that I have bought a paint box and some pencils. It is hard to take up drawing again at my age, when the only attempts you ever made were of the boa constrictor from the outside, and the boa constrictor from the inside when you were 6 years old. Of course, I shall try to make my paintings as true to life as I can, but I am not at all sure of succeeding. Some drawings work, others do not. Sometimes my proportions are wrong. Here, the little prince is too big. There, he is too little. Other times I waver over the colour of his clothes, and so I fumble along trying this and that as best I can. I may even make mistakes as you more important details, but there you must forgive me. You see, my friend never gave explanations. Perhaps he thought I was like him, but I, unfortunately, am not able to see sheep through the wall of boxes. Sheep through the walls of boxes. Perhaps I am a bit of a grown-up after all. I must be getting old. Chapter 5. Each day I learned something about the little prince's planet, his departure from it, his journey. The details came very slowly in the course of conversation. So it was on the third day that I learned about the terrible baobabs. This time, once again, I had the sheep to thank, for abruptly, as if seized by grave doubts, the little prince demanded, "It is true, is it that sheep eat small bushes?" "Yes, it is true." "Good, I am glad." I could not see why it was so important that sheep should eat small bushes. But the little prince added, "Then it follows that they also eat baobabs?" I reminded the little prince that baobabs are not small bushes, but trees the size of churches, and that even if he took a whole herd of elephants home with him, they would not succeed in dispatching a single baobab. The idea of the herd of elephants made the little prince laugh. They would have to be stacked on top of each other. Then he observed, wisely enough, baobabs, before they grow big, start off small. "So they do. But why do you want your sheep to eat up the baby baobabs?" Baby baobabs, baby baobabs, baby baobabs. It's a bit of a tongue twister. He merely replied, "Oh, come, come," as if it went without saying, and I had to make a great mental effort to work out the problem on my own. In effect, they were on the little prince's planet, as on every planet, good plants and bad plants, and consequently there were good seeds from good plants and bad seeds from bad plants. But seeds, as everyone knows, are invisible. They sleep in the secrecy of the earth until one of them suddenly decides to wake up. So it stretches itself, and, timidly at first, it extends towards the sun, a ravishing, innocent little shoot. If this happens to be a spring of radish or the beginnings of a rose bush, you can leave it to grow wherever it wishes. But if it turns out to be a bad plant, you must root it up at once the very instant you recognise it. Now there were some terrible seeds on the little prince's planet, namely those of the baobab tree. The soil of the planet was infested with them, and a baobab, if you checkle it too late, can never be got rid of afterwards. It clutters everything. It will bore right through a planet with its roots, and if the planet is too small, and if the baobabs are too numerous, they will finally make the planet explode. "It's a question of discipline," the little prince informed me later on. "When you finish washing and dressing each morning, you must carefully wash and dress your planet. You must force yourself to pull up the baobabs regularly, as soon as they can be distinguished from the rose trees, which they resemble so closely in early youth. It is very tedious work, but it is very easy." And one day he suggested that I set about making a beautiful drawing, so as to give children on my planet a clear idea of all this. Then, if one day they travel, he said, that will be of use to them. Sometimes one can safely put off what needs doing until later, but as in the case of baobabs, it always ends in disaster. I knew a planet that was inhabited by a lazy fellow. He neglected 3 little bushes, and guess what happened? So, following the little prince's directions, I have made a drawing of that planet. I don't much like adopting the tone of a moralist, but the peril of baobabs is so little understood, and the risks run by anyone who strays onto an asteroid are so considerable, that for once I will break my usual reserve and say categorically, "Children, beware of baobabs." It is to warn friends of a danger that they have skirted unknowingly for so long, as I myself have done, that I worked so hard at this drawing. The lesson I had to pass on was worth the trouble it had cost me. Perhaps you are asking yourself, why are there no other drawings in this book as magnificent as the baobab drawing? The answer is quite simple. I tried with the rest, but did not succeed. When I drew the baobabs, I was driven on by a sense of urgency. So, this is the asteroid there in the middle, with little stars around it. I have a feeling I may be talking too fast, and that's why I'm making mistakes. I keep messing up. So I might have to slow down a bit for this next chapter. Okay. Chapter 6. Ah, little prince. So it was, gradually, that I came to understand your melancholy little life. For a long time your only pleasure had been to watch the gently setting sun. I learned this new detail on the morning of the 4th day, when you said to me, I am very fond of sunsets. Let's go this moment and look at a sunset. But we shall have to wait. Wait for what? Wait until it's time for the sun to set. See him there, watching the sunset. At first you seemed very taken aback. Then you laughed at yourself and said, I still keep thinking I'm at home. Just so. For as everyone knows, when it is noon in the United States, the sun is setting over France. If you could get to France in a twinkling, you could watch a sunset right now. Unfortunately, France is rather too far away. But on your tiny planet, little prince, you had only to move your chair a few steps. You could watch nightfall whenever you liked. One day, you said, I watched the sunset 43 times. And a little later you added, you know, when one is that sad, one can get to love the sunset. Were you that sad then, on the day of the 43 sunsets? But the prince made no answer. And on that rather intriguing note, I think I might leave it here. I'll try and do sort of a few chapters at a time, I think. Just to space things out a bit, I suppose. It is rather a short book, it is a novella, but I think, 3 chapters at a time is a pretty good pace. Yeah, so I'll put my bookmark there. And leave it there for today. Alright. Well, I hope you enjoyed those 3 chapters, and I'll see you next time for the next 3. Alright. Bye, guys.